I present to you a plea from the fans. We need you to buy Klonoa Phantasy Reverie Series and save this series from vanishing into obscurity forever. The game releases July 8th for Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and Steam. Anyway, this is going to be the topic of today's video. So hello there viewers, long time no see. Today we are going to take a look at the recently released Klonoa Phantasy Reverie Series that is available on all platforms, which, fun fact, was originally not supposed to happen. See, in a Nintendo Direct where this got announced, it was said to be a timed Switch exclusive, but one day Bandai randomly came out and said that all versions are releasing the same day, which I'm not complaining about. It helps make the game feel as accessible as Klonoa has ever been, really. Now, I myself am not a die-hard Klonoa fan, although I can't even call myself a fan. In fact, I've only known about the existence of this franchise for a few years now, but over the course of those years, it made me know about Klonoa's life when his games were coming out in the late 90s and early 2000s, but I didn't know the quality of the games themselves. That itself should have been an easy task for me though, because this series has such a low game count with very few entries ranging from the PS1, the PS2, Game Boy Advance, and Wii. The Wii game being the last of Klonoa's releases because these games in terms of sales have never broken any charts. So much so that there was this deal that if the Klonoa Wii make, which is a from the ground up remake of the first Klonoa but in the style of Klonoa 2 it seems, if this did well enough, there would have been a Klonoa 2 remake. I think you know where this is going. That's not to say these games are bad, however. Klonoa games reception-wise have been consistently good, similar to other franchises like Metroid and Devil May Cry. At least to some extent with DMC. But yeah, some people claim these games as some of the best platformers ever made. Whenever the term hidden gem is brought up, this guy is definitely the best example. Hidden gem. Wait a minute! Anywho, the Wii Make stuff happened like 13 years ago, so that's legit how long it's been since the last Klonoa game. Fast forward to February 2022 where this got announced at the Nintendo Direct, and I gotta say, even though I'm not a huge Klonoa fan as I said, I popped off when I saw this. See, like, I did this whole thing with my friends where I had a stream set up in a Discord call just watching the Direct and they were looking at me reacting live. It was a great time. Skipping over a couple months, there was the thing Bandai posted, but getting closer to July, Namco hasn't done any advertising and it's a little concerning. Okay, even before days like late June, fans were already telling people to buy it because they just want to see this damn game series finally succeed, and well, it is working. Let's go ahead and read some examples. Gotta ensure as many people try peak fiction as possible. Hashtag Klonoa sweep. This game is gonna be the first game to sell 1 trillion copies. Klonoa hype so real it crashed Steam, LMAO. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Remember, Klonoa comes out tomorrow. There was no advertising for it whatsoever besides the one trailer. There's no physical copy and you can't brew it in the West. Namco wants to the bomb, prove them wrong. Tomorrow's the day that Klonoa Phantasy Reverie Series comes out. Bandai Namco has done a really bad job of marketing him and I want you to buy his newest release to make the future of Klonoa series brighter. Do it! For him! It's officially Klonoa Day. Everybody go buy Klonoa Phantasy Reverie Series, available on all major platforms, which includes beautiful remasters of Klonoa 1 and 2. Look at him! Save his life! Buy this game no matter the platform. The community needs Klonoa to make a sweep. To me, the reason why it's working is because you know, you can convince me if you think I'm wrong, but I am so convinced that gamers are slowly taking over the world. Things like Animal Crossing reaching crazy sales when it first came out, and the Sonic movies doing stupid well as a little bit of Uncharted. I say a little bit because Tom Holland and that name alone will get anybody's attention. Those two things bring me to this point, I swear. So yes, people are telling you to buy Klonoa, but should you really? Is it really worth spending 40 bucks? Is it all just ignorant praise? Should you double or even triple dip on this game for that matter? Well, let's talk about Klonoa Phantasy Reverie Series on Nintendo Switch. Firstly, let's talk about the art and the title. In my opinion, I love looking at this art. It reminds me a lot of Sonic Generations and the X Challenge from the X Legacy collections, where the various styles of their time like classic, modern, 16-bit, and 32-bit come together in one. It really tells you that these two games are from different console generations. As for the title, I'm going to make a confession and say that I had no idea how to pronounce Reverie, nor did I even know what the hell a Reverie even was. Look, now I know and I feel less stupid, but I just love how games can even show me words I never even knew. Look, this is a Turismo. But I love the idea that they went for in the name of this collection. Instead of just getting straight to the point that it's Klonoa 1 and 2, they went the extra mile and wanted to make you think whatever the fuck a Phantasy Reverie Series is. See, fantasy in this spelling is just a variation of fantasy with the F. Then reverie is like a lost dream, you know, when you're daydreaming, for example, so one that isn't in your control. And obviously a series is various events, therefore all of what Klonoa goes through are dreams because he is a dream traveler after all. I remember when I first saw this title, I thought it was just a funny play on subtitle for the Sega compilation, but no, so it's cool to know this. Now it's time for the moment you all been waiting for, the game itself. Like I said before, this is a compilation of the first two Klonoa games, Door to Phantomile, which was on the PS1 in 1997, and Lunatea's Veil, which was on the PS2 in 2001. Yes, it is actually pronounced Lunatea, and if you don't believe me, there you go. These two games got a full remastered treatment, but remake feels like a more fitting adjective. I'm only saying this because Bandai uploaded a graphics comparison video, and when they showed Klonoa 1, they used the remake as the foundation instead of the PlayStation original, which, like I said before, the remake took a different approach stylistically. The best way to tell is by looking at Klonoa's design. And there was also no voice acting like how there was in the Wii one. I can tell because in the graphics comparison video there was a transition from the cutscene where you meet Carol for the first time on level 2-2, and both games had the same camera angle. This is what the PS1 original had for presentation during this moment, so I guess Klonoa 1 in the Reverie series is just a remaster of the remake, but put in the Klonoa PS1 style. Me claiming it is a remake actually, now that I'm giving it more thought, is not true nowadays, because the term remake has changed thanks to games like Final Fantasy VII and Resident Evil 2 and 3. Those are remakes! Then remasters are things like SMT3 and Final Fantasy X and X-2. So fine, whatever, I'm just gonna stick with remaster for the sake of simplicity, and now that I came to the realization that I'm wrong. Looking at Klonoa 2, actually, yeah, my fault. It definitely is a remaster, no ifs, ands, or buts. However, the remaster took out this style in the original that had black outlines around the characters, which made them look like they were drawn for a cartoon, and made sure they didn't blend in the backgrounds. But that's the only thing that seems to have been taken out. It's one of those things where it's so subjective that it's really up to you and what you like more. To me, at least, it's just a different thing to how make the two Klonoas fit together when they stand next to each other in the cover art, while also keeping their original designs intact. The new remasters have brightened up the environment tremendously, and this is something that everyone should be happy with, like, come on now. This helps make the games feel more alive, vibrant, and more Klonoa-like, man. As someone who has never played these games up until their Reverie releases, wow, I should call these versions that. Looking at the originals now have me saying to myself that both games, especially Klonoa 2, were a little dark. And this is coming from someone who plays DMC2 in the remake, so you know my opinion matters. I feel like this dark choice was made due to PS2 limitations because I doubt super detailed backgrounds and all that would run well on the PS2. Look, as much as I love the system, I know it wasn't that powerful. I'd say the overall remaster treatment went pretty well in my opinion. Definitely better than some remasters in recent history. There's no stupid high amounts of bloom, it's playable and not glitchy, and it's priced fairly well. Kind of. But yes, these remasters also play really well, and they're the first times I've ever played one of the console Klonoa games. I am so glad I won't be the first nor last person to ever say that. Now, for the sake of trying to get this video out, I finished Klonoa 1 and gotten a bit ways into Klonoa 2, so I haven't beaten that one yet. So welcome to my Klonoa 1 review. I'm kidding. I'm just wanting to give my honest thoughts on this collection because looking at it through those eyes, that's all there really is to it in here. Just Klonoa 1 and 2. Fuck off, train! Look, I know I should let it pass because Klonoa hasn't had a release in over a decade, but game collections have at least more than just the games. Some companies are still trying to learn, but Capcom and even Konami hit it out of the park when it comes to game collections. I do like how fast the game loads up, but when you're going into the menu, all the options that you have are just the first game and the second game. No art book, no music, so no museum of any sort, no bonus modes, no trailers of the games, no physical release over here in the States, and no development history videos either. Not that I'm wanting all of that I mentioned, but at least give us something if you're going to charge us $40. Even Sonic Origins, one of the releases of this year, has arguably less value than Klonoa, but it at the very least tries to justify $40 by giving you music and bonus modes. What really hurt Sonic Origins, however, was the inconsistency between all four games, and the worst part, DLC in a fucking game collection. At least Klonoa doesn't have that. Oh, you've
got to be kidding me.
It's even worse for Klonoa because it's fucking $20 for the most basic and necessary features in a collection. Let's take a deep dive on what the special bundle contains real quick. Art book, soundtrack, and stupid little hats. The only thing I would accept here as DLC is the hats, and even then that's implying I want DLC, which I don't! But yes, this is all of it, and it's 20 bucks. Cough it up now. I gave SMT3 shit, but what the hell, Bandai? Plus, you didn't even bother combining both things into one. The base game and the special bundle must be purchased separately. This got so bad that there are 0 positive reviews on Steam. Sounds about right. To go back on Origins for a moment, the stupid crap that's in the DLC should have also been in the base game as well, but to its credit, the digital deluxe is only 5 bucks more, so a worthwhile price. Still stupid fucking shit, but better stupid fucking shit. These companies need to stop nickel and diming us. While it is true we do like these games, we're not willing to spend more than what we need for these dumb little things that we shouldn't even have to pocket out extra for in the first place. These games play perfectly fine, yeah, I established this, and I haven't encountered anything stupid, so they run really well on the Switch. But when you can get other PS1 or PS2 or GBA game collections that are cheaper, or at least are the same price as this game collection, but have so much more, then I'm gonna get on your ass about this. You're especially gonna get it from me when you have dumb DLC. It's also sad when this same company released Pacman Museum Plus not that long ago, and it's only 20 bucks with 14 games. Granted, they are older and there are some stinkers, but the museum portion is definitely the best part. Sure, Pacman has its own fair share of issues like how latency is common with these games, making me fuck up in places where I normally wouldn't, but at least this collection can go down saying it's a good price unless you want it on Switch for some reason, and there's even a physical here. I know I'm complaining a lot, but it's just kinda hard not to when looking at the competition. But is this bare bonesness, whatever you want to call it, gonna affect the overall quality of the Reverie release? Even after all the complaining I just did now, I'm gonna say no. My best guess is that all of what really matters here is that Klonoa's back and fans want people to support it mainly because the games themselves are so good. And I agree. Beating Klonoa 1 in the Reverie release told me that all this praise is for good reason, and not just some inchoate nature or anything because not enough people know about this franchise. Something that wasn't in the original I've heard at least is a hard mode, where you take one hit and you're out and you start with only one life. Sounds like fun, but I'm still trying to finish Klonoa 2, which I'm sure won't be far from now. Both of these games aren't that long, but these are definitely the definition of it's more about the journey than the destination, just a little bit. You can find yourself having so much fun playing these levels. I ended up getting so lost in the world of both of these games that when I looked back at the footage, for Klonoa 2 especially, it didn't really feel like I was playing for as long as the footage told me. I've never really recorded games and lost track of time because I want to set myself a deadline, but looky here, Klonoa did that, and I'd say that's a good thing for these games to do, and it also sets a good impression for what newcomers should see when they're looking into this. Levels are lengthy in Klonoa 2 though. See, door to Phantomile's levels took me around 6 to 8 minutes because I wanted to collect everything, which I did, so these levels aren't that long and I didn't start getting game overs until the final boss, because I wasn't expecting all the things that I had to deal with, so it's not like I was sucking at playing the levels. But Lunatea's Veil on the other hand has some pretty lengthy levels, taking me around 10 to 15 minutes. Not that I hated what I was playing, far from it. It's just comparing the two games is like comparing Starbucks Grande coffee to a Trenta coffee. Really good, but you can tell which one's longer. I was legitimately surprised when I saw the big gaps in my footage when I went from the starting level text all the way to vision clear. And it's not like Klonoa's walking animation is annoying to deal with either. In both games, the levels are clearly built with this only source of maneuvering in mind, and how obtaining the collectibles are all up to how well you've adapted to the wind bullet mechanic. Klonoa holds this ring that allows him to do all sorts of things. My favorite ability is being able to inflate big boys and have them turn into Beg Yoshi, and yes, these are enemies, but they are so darn cute. The wind bullet stuff is the star of the show and where all the creative ideas for these levels come from. You can't hop on enemies in this game like it's Crash or Mario. You have to grab them using the ring, and when you have an enemy in hand, Klonoa can do things like throw enemies at other enemies, hit these eggs in the foreground and background that contain certain goodies, or do lots of double jumping to get to higher levels, the last of which being some of the most satisfying platforming I've ever done. There's even bomb enemies, and they utilize these pretty well, like in Lunatea's Veil. It's required that you throw a bomb enemy in the background, launch yourself there, grab the enemy again and set it near some rocks that can be blown up. It's really fun just to be able to do these things and get rewarded for doing so. This is a great example of games that are simple enough but provide a lot of variety in the gameplay department that you just want to enjoy every second of it. Hey, so I just want to let you know that the following portion of this video is going to be of different quality, most likely. You'll definitely notice it. It's just, when I recorded this, I did it 2 separate days in 2 separate rooms, so you're gonna notice the quality. So just bear in mind that and enjoy the rest of the video. Also, Klonoa 1 has a pretty intense story. I don't want to get into too many spoilers, but there were moments that I just wasn't expecting from an E for Everyone game. Something that really creeped me out is Gaudius in the first game, who talks in this weird, creepy, ominous way that it sent chills down my spine when hearing it. Just listen to Klonoa and Hupo, for example, and then hear Gaudius. His design too gives me the creeps. Whatever this is, what the fuck? I don't know if Klonoa 2 goes anywhere near this territory, but I'll find out when I play more of it. The way the presentation goes in the Reverie release is, like I said, similar to the remake being the only thing from that version here, but put in the Klonoa PS1 design. That version went with doing these FMVs, which look pretty good, but this is obviously the kind of stuff that should stay in its time instead of trying to be replicated frame by frame, so I'm happy with the way the Reverie release is. Lunatea's veil is luckily easier to explain because it never got any remake of any sort, so the only thing I can really say is that it looks nice, but Klonoa's mouth opens way too wide sometimes when he speaks. All in all though, pretty much everything from the PS2 original is here. Something Klonoa 2 in the Reverie release does is that sometimes dialogue advances on its own and other times you have to press the A button to move on to the next set. The first game didn't do it, it went all by itself, so I don't know what exactly is going on here. Or better yet, if any of these things happened in their previous versions. To get a little nitpicky here, I brought up how there's a hard mode when finishing the game on normal, but no matter if you play on normal or hard, you get this nerfed wind bullet range compared to the easy range here. I know it's meant to add more difficulty, but I don't know, I feel like the range is too short on all ends. In order to see how far it goes, you have to stand still, and in a game like this, I'm always going to move forward, so it's not like this wind bullet range is going to do anything. For this video I did play on normal for both games, but still, sometimes it feels like you have to be at point blank to pick up an enemy. I didn't know easy mode even had better range until I saw someone say something about it, so when it did I was like, that's kinda weird, why would anyone need that? Thankfully this whole range, skill issue, wind, bottom text, whatever, was easy to get used to and pretty fun for the boss battles, which will be one of the last subjects for today's video. All these bosses were really well designed and did a great job at testing your aiming skills with throwing enemies. There are some where you hit from behind, and some where you have to hit at specific parts, and then there are just some where you can throw it and not give a fuck. This is how Klonoa goes about dealing damage, just like enemies, and there really isn't one that I hated. They're all just about patience and timing, so you may make it out with just a few hits taken away, or none at all. Sometimes in Klonoa 2, I got so used to only being able to take 6 hits before dying, so when I saw him faint just 3 hits in on this boss here, it really threw me off. I don't know why on normal Phantomile lets you take 6 hits, but Lunatea's veil is only 3. You'd think that 3 hits would be hard mode, but apparently not. What can confuse me sometimes is the amount of hits bosses can take. Some will take 4 or some will take more, and you have to tell how many hits remain by looking at how much health one hit removes, and you go from there. It's just kinda strange, but it does make bosses feel different in more ways than one, so to its credit, the bosses don't take the same amount of hits like something a Mario game would do. Lastly, to end on a happy note is the music. Let's just have a little compilation. Oh, wonderful. The music is so good that it leaves me speechless, and I would listen to it any day of the week. And that's it for today's video on the Phantasy Reverie Series. I really enjoyed playing these games for the first time and finally being able to form my own words on a game series I've known for so long but never got the chance to play. This game is setting out to be a massive success. This game is setting out to be a massive success thanks to #Klonoa sweep on social media. I'm glad we're taking advantage of how easy it is to play these games now, since the last time I saw Klonoa readily available on a digital store is, yeah. Speaking of that, I really hope this leads to something like a Klonoa Phantasy Reverie Series 2 fully remaking the GBA games for modern consoles. But I guess we'll just have to see until then. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I hope I can feel motivated to do this again for future videos, but time will tell. Until next time, I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.